Hey everyone, this is Builder, and this is my game, the team game with me and Silent Knight versus Dr. Widget and Galacticon Rex. And so we started out. I settled in place again with a couple of wheats, very nice spot. Silent doesn't have any very many good spot tiles near him. Looks like his capital will be a little bit weaker this game. Yeah, no wheats around him at all. So this is a team game. This isn't in a league. It's against two random players. And we're exploring around. I'm kind of in the back of this game, so there'll be quite a bit less fighting. Silent will be doing most of the fighting in this game. Also during this game I decided I wanted to take kind of copy off Frododo and try taking the free worker before I take the free settler. Just to try, also because I have a nice capital spot, so I want to try to build my economy up and then start spamming some settlers out. So I'll have like maybe a 5 population capital before I start building settlers instead of a 3 population capital, or a 4, which I used to do. So again, I have the granaries because it's the plains map, the skirmish plains map, and where we met where are they? France and Arabia. There, you can see he just took the worker from France, which is a nice thing to do against France because they're cheap, so you gotta cut them down to size. Yeah, I played a game with France, and it was so quick that it wouldn't even be worth uploading. If he's running away, he might actually be able to get that worker back to his own city. Should be very nice for him. I found my 3rd wheat nearby, so I will be able to get some very nice growth going once my granary finishes. My warrior isn't anywhere near my capital. I guess I must not be very worried about losing my worker, but, you know. I guess I'm kind of in the back, so we'll see if I lose my worker. I'm building another worker. I'm worker spamming this game, which is kind of a flip for me. I normally, or at least the last couple times I've played, I build settlers and then I improve tiles. In this game I'm kind of going backwards. I'm building way more workers than I normally do, and I'm waiting a little bit before I build my cities. And I think it worked out pretty well, so I'll think about trying this strategy a little bit, using this kind of build method a little bit more. But I don't have very much military at all right now. But that's something I can afford to do because I'm just so far away from everyone else. I'm up in the top left corner, and the nearest guy is way down to the right, and he's being handled by Silent. So anyway, my warrior's wandering back. I didn't quite bring him back that quickly. I like to get the chops out of my forest as quickly as possible, because as they give you a set number of hammers, and hammers are more valuable earlier in the game. You know, you have more production later in the game, so I want to chop them as quickly as possible. So that's just what I was doing there. Of course, now I don't have any good hammer tiles to work. I don't have any hills. But of course, forests aren't great hammer tiles until you can put a lumber mill on them. I'm just scouting around below with my scout. protect my front worker with the warrior, just in case. Now I improved the horse tile with my worker. If I had other hammer tiles, like if I had a hill nearby, I'd be mining that too, but since I don't have anything else to do, I just might as well build a farm on the wheat. I can't build a trading post, I can't build, I can't trap the elephant, I can't build a plantation on the wine there. Then also, another thing I changed about this game is I tried to build a barracks early. And, I don't know, I didn't build much military at all, so it didn't really help me that much. If I had built military, it would have helped me, but... Oh, and this is something that's interesting. If you look, I'm 40 production right now, and I had 9 hammers per turn, and I finished it. The game thought I was going to finish in 2 turns, but because I finished off the stable on the horse's end because I grew next to population, I got some extra hammers that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And so now I'm moving my worker down, because I think the iron is going to be on a nearby hill, so I'm moving him towards the 2 hills that are down below me. If it's one of the other hills, if it's the hill that's directly above my capital, I can move my top worker to get that hill. And there it is, right below my worker. There's the iron. I'm getting my free settler now, and I already have 2 workers, so I'll be able to even start improving some tiles right away. Moving my scout just to try to keep my settler safe. So now we've finished iron. We went pottery, then animal husbandry, then iron, which you can choose multiple techs in the tech tree by just shift clicking, and it just adds it onto a list of techs you'll research, which is very nice. So I'm waiting for Beijing to culturally acquire the iron tile. It's on a river and it's nearby me, so I'll probably be able to get the iron tile pretty soon. Built my city nearby a luxury on a hill. I would have preferred a hill next to a hill, but I don't really need hammers that badly because I'm not on the front line, so I don't need warriors or whatever. Looking at my manufactured goods, I like to keep my manufactured goods as high as possible. Manufactured goods is the sum of all the hammers per turn in your city, all the production per turn in all your cities, and that's a pretty important statistic in multiplayer, so I like to check it periodically to see how well I'm doing compared to the other players. In the short term, army is more important, because it doesn't really matter how much production you have if you don't have any army, but over the long term it's nice to have high production so that you can have a bigger army and build more economy to get yourself even higher. So I'm setting my settler down to one of the recommended city spots the computer gave me. So I'm going to settle next to the incense on the river, not on the hill of iron. Again, I'm not in the front, so I don't really need to worry as much about it being pillaged. Just sending another worker down to my other city so I can chop some forests and finish my monument more quickly. Get a nice quick finish on Liberty. And Silent built a lot of scouts. He likes scouts. He doesn't have very good manufactured goods because his city isn't on a hill, I don't think. And his capital spot isn't great either. And I decide I'm asking him if he needs any help with army. Because if he does, I'll build him some swordsmen or some warriors. But I think he said no, so I just build a circus instead. Keep my people happy. So again, in almost all my new cities I build a monument first. If I really needed like military, I might build a warrior or an archer in a new city, but I don't really need it, so. I'm thinking whether should I get the happiness from building the plantation or should I chop that forest, and I decided to chop the forest because I have the happy from the that new plantation that just came in, and the circus that will finish in now one turn because I put my city on, my Beijing on hammers. I decide, yeah, I shouldn't have all these free workers just roaming around without any defenses at all, so I should get some, maybe, I should build some defenses. Oh, and by the way, the last game I uploaded was a team game, and we were talking on TeamSpeak, so that's how we were communicating. We were using a program so you can talk to each other, which is a lot faster than just typing in. So that's why you didn't see me ever communicating with him. In this game, we're not using TeamSpeak, so we have to use the in-game chat. In manufactured goods, I'm checking my hammers. 18 per turn. And also I'm looking at army. And the Arabian player has no army at all. He has no military units. Since I have so many workers, I'm just moving them down to my new cities so I can... It's always good to improve new cities. Because +1 hammer isn't that much in a big city, but in a little city, +1 hammers is a big thing. Or a forest chop is more important in a small city, or as quickly as possible. I was just using the diplomacy window to check to see if the French player had any iron, because it shows excess strategic resources and he didn't have any. And I doubted that he would have been able to use up all of his strategic resources, so he hasn't hooked up any iron yet. Another thing I'm trying to do is see about not always building farms next to rivers, trying to build some trading posts. Because in a lot of my games I just run out of gold. If you watch my last game near the end, I was just running like -4 or 5 gold per turn with 0 gold left. In this game I want to keep a positive input of gold, so I'm just building a trading post. Although, if I wanted to work gold tiles right now, I'd just be working my plantation and my, the elephant. What is it? Trading post, no. Trap. Something. So he's gonna go get Cerro de Potosi. I think that's how it's actually pronounced. It was right where I was looking just now. I'm just asking my teammate why he's not attacking the French guy, because he doesn't have any military right now. Or he has military, he just doesn't have any iron. which means he has no strong military. And he has a couple of swordsmen outside that city. I think he could take it if he really wanted. It's improving tiles. Make another city. We made a deal in the chat that I would settle in the silver and you'd get Certopatsi, Potosi. And I decided I'd rather have chop the forest before I get the farm. I'm building granaries in all my cities, because at least all the ones I have right now have wheat nearby, so that makes the granary a very good building. Get lots of growth for not very many hammers. And, you know, I decided, hey, I'm spamming workers this game, I'm going to build the pyramids. Because I want to have way too many workers. Yeah, there's shift clicking, it's not really working. Didn't work for a second, but then I got it. Now, the whole walking the settler with the worker to protect it made me a little bit nervous there. If he were playing a player with lots of scouts, that would be very bad. But, I mean, he's okay, so... My manufactured goods are still up high. Very happy about that. Even though the French guy has just as many cities as I do. And some cities on some hills too. Looks like Silent's gonna be able to get steal one of his settlers maybe. Maybe even nab some workers too. That's what scouts are really good at. They're good at sneaking over rough terrain and just sniping a worker and then running away. And I was just warning him that when you train a settler, the excess food in your city goes to 0 no matter what. So even if you have even if you're starving your city, you can be training a settler and it'll go back to 0. So if you had a 3 population city, if you worked 3 hills, you'd have 0 food in your city. So then when you're training a settler, it's ideal to work those 3 hills, so you can get as many hammers as you can. Because although excess food is turned into production for a settler, the plus 50% you get from liberty doesn't apply to the food, it only applies to the hammers. So it's much more efficient to just work hammers. So you get 1.5 hammers for every hammer you work, and only 1 hammer for every 1 food you get. So now we're going to research up to Cho-ko-nus. I'm going to have a nice gold coming in because I have all my cities on rivers and I'm not building a ton of military to take lots of maintenance. See, I built my barracks and I've only built 1 military unit since then, so... I'm building my city there. A lot of times, again, I say I like to settle on hills, but I wanted to have access to all the horses that were around that city. And if I settled there, I was within 1 tile of lots of stuff. And wow, he just captured Orleans. He wasn't able to get the settler. Obviously, he tried to attack it, and then he had built the city already, so he attacked the city. I think it's kind of strange how it's a defenseless military unit, then suddenly, like that, and it becomes a 8 strength city, which, like, you can't take out at all. It's like magic. transformation. And now I have workers up my nose. And the semi-annoying thing about having extra workers with pyramids is that, so you want to give them to your teammate, right? Because you have too many workers now once you finish the pyramids. But the thing is, the pyramids makes your workers more efficient, so it's better not to actually like gift them those workers, because if you have them, they work more quickly than they would if they had them. So then you have to do this kind of awkward, like, all right, what do you want me to do now? And you have to keep on asking them every time you want to do something, if you want them to really be deciding what to do with their tiles. And Dr. Widget apparently is mad about Silent doing something, probably fast moving at the end of the turn. And, you know, it's just a tactic in Civ. It's something you do to fight better. And I think, well, he obviously doesn't like it very much, but I accept it, because, you know, if you don't do it, you're losing out. So he's talking about, like, at the very end of the turn you move in, and then at the very start of the next turn you attack, is probably what he did. So that it's essentially like he gets 2 moves in a row. And it's just a tactic. I don't think it's overly taboo. It's not like you just can't do it. Yeah, I'm getting some watermills in my cities. It's a nice building too. Although if there's granary resources, I'd rather build a granary first. Just because it's a little bit cheaper, and then you get 3 food out of it, if you have a granary resource. So we're working up to machinery to be able to get Cho-ko-nus, which are almost as powerful as longbowmen. So if you're standing still, they're awfully nice with the Great Wall. You can shoot somebody 4 times before they can attack you. Just getting up to engineering. I think my social policies are rolling pretty quickly, because I was able to build a monument first in all of my cities instead of having to build any military. I'm building the hanging garden, which is always a nice thing to have. Very good for having just a great city. Especially on a plains map, because again, every time you grow, you're working a tile with hammers, so growth gives you more hammers, as opposed to like a grassland map where you're working grassland. You just grow, and then you get a little bit more science per turn, and that's pretty much it. So I'm trying to communicate with Silent Knight about what I should build with my worker. And with workers, it's always nice to have multiple workers doing the road, so you can try to complete it like all at once, instead of just having one worker just slowly do it, because all the turns that the city isn't connected, you're paying maintenance for the road without getting any income from the trade route. So ideally, you'd have a line of workers and just go bam, 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 you'd finish it all in one turn, but it would take way too long to line up your workers like that. So you do some combination of it. And I just went into unhappiness because all my cities are growing, so it improves some luxuries. Trying to tell them this game is almost like my old game because we're racing towards the longbow replacement, either the longbowmen or the Cho-ko-nus. Cho-ko-nu. Just building stuff. They got the great library. I wanted to use that for machinery, but that was not to be. Would have been very nice. And then he has just that worker there sitting on their iron. He must have taken their worker with a scout, and then they bombarded the scout with Paris and his other city down there, I can't see what it is right now, and killed it off, and so now he just has a little isolated worker sitting there all on his own, with the swordsman being threatening. So I finished Liberty in 16 turns, turn 69. And so it's not quite fast enough to speed up, to use it as a great, to use Liberty finisher to get a great scientist, to get machinery. It's a little bit faster for us to just research straight to machinery. But yeah, it's still helpful to have a fast Liberty finisher, even though it didn't help us get to machinery faster. The great person is just so powerful, it's always nice to get that sooner rather than later. So anyway, I'm making hammer tiles better right now, because I want to improve production rather than getting some more growth. And right now I was thinking about maybe I could build a barracks in every city, so I could get what is it called, the heroic epic in Beijing. But I decided it would just take too many hammers in too many cities to be able to do that, so I'd rather have more gold from paper makers, more growth from a granary or something. And I thought maybe I'd be able to do it later, but you know, I don't think I ended up doing it. I didn't end up getting it in. And again, look at all, actually I'm doing good in all the economy stats. Gold, the GNP is gold, manufactured good is production, crop yield is food, population is some exponential thing based off your population, where a big change in population, it gives a big change in population if you go from like 7 to 8 population, a little one from like 1 to 2 population. And right now I'm trying to decide whether I should use the Liberty Great Scientist. You know, obviously I was building my economy a lot more than Silent Knight was, so he only has... Well, he has a lot of cities. He has 6 cities, but his cities are a lot smaller than mine. Mine are all growing, except for Nanjing. And, he has a couple of puppets that he stole from Dr. Widget. So I'm going to try to take the Great Wall just because it's really annoying to try to invade somebody with the Great Wall. So even though we're not going to get invaded, I'd rather they not have it, so, because it's either us or them who has the Great Wall. It applies to the whole team. So even if Galacticon Rex builds a Great Wall, it would still help Dr. Widget's cities. And if I built the Great Wall, it would still help Silent Knight's cities. And so it looks like Dr. Widget has set up a pretty nice defense around his city, around Paris. And it'll be pretty tough to take. He has spearmen to counter silence horsemen. He's just sitting back. And for me, growth is starting to eat into the happiness I just get from only my luxuries, so I'm starting to have to build some coliseums in my cities. Because I'd rather not build Coliseum right away, I'd rather build stuff that actually makes my city work better. So Coliseum just helps your happiness, so if you have extra happiness, you might as well be building something that'll help you. So I'm working on my roads. I'm trying to build up gold production for upgrading Cho-ko-nus. Upgrading an archer into a Cho-ko-nu or any crossbow costs 115 gold. So obviously I'm trying to get as much of that, as many as possible. Beijing is growing crazy because it has the hanging gardens giving it 10 food. It's like a 5 granary stacked on top of each other. And so I'm trying to keep on asking Silent what he wants me to do, but I don't think he really cares, so I'll just do whatever I want with him. I'm just kidding him that I'll use it to go explore their territory, because that would be something really stupid to do. And now this is where my plan for getting the barracks in falls apart, because instead of building barracks right now, I'm building coliseums. And if I would have, instead of building coliseums, built barracks, I might have been able to get the national epic in my city, so I would have been able to get the plus 15% on my Cho-ko-nus out of Beijing. But you know, it's plus 15%. It's not a huge bonus, and it would have only been out of my Beijing Cho-ko-nus, which is admittedly a significant number because it's a big city, right, with the hanging gardens and all. But I still have a lot of other cities which would be producing Cho-ko-nus which wouldn't have the bonus. And Orleans has a wall. And I don't know about walls. I always have a hard time building them because they just take so long to build, and so they're only worth it in small cities. Well, not necessarily, but in small cities where you want to have them because they're only at like 8 defense, and you want to increase that so they can take a couple hits from a swordsman. Or plus 4 defense, so they can be up to 12 and be stronger than a swordsman. It just takes so long to build it. By the time you've built it, the invasion is already gone and they're not at your city anymore. Either they've taken the city or you've successfully defended their away. In a big city, sometimes it's nice because it just takes like 1 turn. You might as well, because the walls don't cost any maintenance. They don't drain your economy at all. There's some very nice hammers out of my city. And I was trying to build a Great Wall, right, to stop them from getting it, but then they got it. And I was able to get fail gold from it, which is very nice. You get 1 gold for every hammer you have put in to the wonder that they got, which in some cases can be very nice. Like right now, I got like 100 or so gold out of the failing that wonder. So that's essentially another Cho-ko-nu I can get. And Cho-ko-nu aren't really affected that much by the Great Wall. I mean, they are, but since their main attack is just standing there and attacking, it's not that bad. Plus, with the Great Wall, what you can do is you can attack with the Cho-ko-nu and then step forward, because the attack only takes 1 movement point. Also, with the Great Wall, it's always a good thing to pillage and then move if you don't have Cho-ko-nus, which is pretty much always. Because it always takes 2 movement points to move, and that would normally use up all your moves, so you might as well use one of the movement points to pillage what you're on. And Silent Knight is being silly and telling him, oh, you shouldn't have built that. There's my nice city, the pyramids and the hanging gardens. Kind of forgot about improving my capital. I improved so many tiles in my capital, and then I just ran all my workers away from it. And then it gained some more hill tiles, which I want to improve, and they weren't improved for a while. Oh, silly Dr. Widget. Taking everything I say literally. Oh. Because we took all of his cities, he doesn't have any territory left. Alright, so I'm positioning my archers as far up as possible, so I'll be able to upgrade them in my territory and just move them right on their cities. I'm getting a road going with my workers so that I can just run them down to Paris and just pop them out really quick, or run them down to Paris really quickly. My turns take a bit longer right now because I just have to move so many sneaking archers. I don't know if you saw, but I checked how much gold Silent Knight has, and I realized he actually has a ton of gold. He has 300 gold. Not as much as I do, but it's a lot considering he has had military the entire game. He's gotten some nice gold from his puppets, nice gold production from his puppets, so he'll be able to give me extra gold. So I will have a couple of archers, quite a few archers ready for upgrade right when we get machinery. So we can be ready to just roll over the all the other cities. It's interesting because it just happened to be that all my cities synced up on that same turn. They're all finishing the arch on the last turn possible to build archers, because afterwards it gets the archer gets obsoleted by machinery and you can't upgrade them, or you can't build them anymore because now you can only build Cho-ko-nus. And I'm trying to remember if, like, you finish something on the turn, you research the technology, whether it goes to the thing you're building. For some reason, I thought I remembered that from my previous game with longbows. So, yeah, but then they didn't, and I just have a trillion archers. And so now I'm using up all my gold, just upgrading. I wanted to see if the barracks is my capital, right? So I guess my barracks did come into use, just would have probably been better to build it quite a bit later. Although I wasn't quite sure I was gonna use it. And then I was trying to figure out with Silent Knight whether he was gonna give me pretty much all of his gold, or save some for his upgrading samurai, maybe. But then he just offered me all his gold, so I took it. I'm not one to turn down gold. Now a nice little blob of Cho-ko-nus. One guy in the middle with 6 friends around him, all ready to attack the French. And now I finished Liberty, turn 68, one turn earlier than I thought. A while ago I guessed, or it said it was going to finish in 13 turns, but then it was going to finish on turn 69, but it shifted forward a turn. So now it's just moving a massive amount of units forward on this road, which isn't quite big enough. I guess all the roads are the same thickness in this game, so that wouldn't really be a factor. It's just I have a lot of units in a little area, which is kind of the bad thing I think about 1 unit per tile, is just when you have a ton of units, it just takes forever to move them. But you get so many advantages from it that it's fun. It's much more interesting than just slamming stacks together. And then we get a little French spearman that just popped up there. Somehow snuck through Silent Knight's defenses. And he meets a block of Cho-ko-nus. And I'm able to absolutely squish him. Come to think of it, I did this a little bit inefficiently. I should have taken one shot from all the units that were about to move into forest, like the guy on the far right with Great General under him, and maybe the guy who was about to move back over the river to go help the new city, but I was just trying to kill him quickly so that he wouldn't be able to run away. So then I'm trying to get a road through the forest so I can roll up there super quick. Thinking about getting a road through the forest to Paris, but I had already pretty much moved all my dudes into the forest, so it wouldn't really help them that much. And so I can't fire over the forest, because that's how the game rules work. Although I can see them, that's because of Tokyo's cultural borders. And so Silent wants me to wait until the horseman comes towards me, and then I can attack him. And I think he accidentally attacks me. I'm not sure if he intended to do that, if he just clicked on the tile that I was on, and then the game just thinks, oh, you wanted to attack that even though there weren't any, even though you didn't know there was a unit there. And that's where the Cho-ko-nus are just nasty. They just do so much damage. Even though they have such a they have the low range strength, which is alright still. It's almost double that of the old archer, which you'd been using up to this point. It has the strength of a catapult, and it can fire twice. It's ridiculous. But where Cho-ko-nus really get ridiculous is that they always do 1 damage. So, if you have 3 of 4 of them, you can kill whatever you want, or do 8 damage on whatever you want in 1 turn. They could be sending a giant death robot at you, and you could do 8 damage right there if you had, like, the Great Wall or something, so it to slow down the giant death robot. It's just kind of silly. And they concede, because they realize I have 4 trillion Cho-ko-nus, and they are about to get flattened. And so they're just about to quit. I was about to object, but I was in team chat, so they didn't hear me. And that's pretty much the end. They quit. And I decided I wanted to try to attack them a little bit, even once they're dropped out. But, and there's the demographics. I'm doing really well because I was building economy the entire game, and I got the hanging gardens. But, you know, so they quit, right, and I'm still attacking them. There's this silly AI. Instead of running away, he just sits there fortified on the hill and says, "Nope, I'm not moving. I'm going to try to heal." Well, he's doing 6 damage per turn on me. And then my teammate disappeared. And that's where the problem sets in, because there's this bug in multiplayer. I'm not sure if it's a bug, actually, but the thing is you're on a team with an AI. And the AI doesn't work together with you. And so then the AIs offer each other a peace deal, which is completely ridiculous. So, anyway, the game ends here. We win, or we would have won. But, anyway, thanks for watching.